been a while. So I got a job in Huntsville, Texas, which is a little bit north of Houston, if you're familiar with the area. And so I'm here now in my brand new house in Huntsville, Texas, and it feels wild. Me and my husband never thought we were going to be buying a house. This was not on our radar. I got this job, and it turns out we could afford to buy a house here because real estate is a little cheaper, a lot cheaper than it was in New York. So here we are, and it's actually kind of my dream house. I kind of can't believe that we ended up here. It's kind of on the older side. It's built in the 20s, and it has this kind of old style charm. Kind of reminds me actually of some of the pre-war apartments. We didn't always live in a pre-war apartment in New York, but when we did, it kind of reminds me of that. So yeah, it's like something we've always wanted, and we sort of just fell in our laps, which is wild. Thinking of several tarot readings I did this past year, and some things are starting to make sense. So that's why I wanted to make this video. Partly is to sort of tie together some threads in my life that have been coming together for a while, but also to sort of come up for air a little bit. It's a phrase that I read in this planner that I have. So this is the May Moons planner, and there's a tarot ritual, and I'll put more about that in the notes. But it's they have these little rituals every month, and one of the words that this particular tarot ritual used was "come up for air." That Leo season in August is a time to sort of come up for air, and I had never thought about that before. I think that's not usually the terms that people think of sort of Luna's season in. People usually seem to talk about like how nice and bright and happy it is and everything. And I mean, there's certainly a lot of like beautiful things going on in my life right now. But I have to say that I was not really feeling super bright and happy when I did this reading. I've been feeling very, very overwhelmed. So I'm getting all of these things that I wanted for a long time: an academic job, a house. Honestly, never expected that. But at the same time, feeling extremely overwhelmed. So that's why I decided to do this reading. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about it. So here goes, I guess. Also, it strikes me that I've never really talked a whole lot about my tarot readings that I do for myself on my channel before, which is ironic because that is why I started this channel. Is because I wanted to have sort of a side hustle as a tarot reader, and I wanted to sort of build myself up to that point where where I could have maybe a business at this. And I'm still not to that point, but I am really feeling an urge to talk about this reading since it was so meaningful and came at a time when I really needed it. A little bit more about this. I was starting to feel, in addition to just feeling overwhelmed, one of the ways that I notice, for me, that I am feeling overwhelmed is I stop listening to my dreams, or I stop paying attention. Sometimes I just stop remembering them, which is what's going on right now. I barely remember like little bits of them. It'll just be like one image or one scene, or one action from one scene, if anything. And sometimes my dreams can be really overwhelming in themselves. They can be really disturbing and a lot. And so when I'm already overwhelmed, it's like I start to ignore them, but also that's a sign that I'm overwhelmed, the fact that I'm ignoring them. And I think this is significant, one, for me magically, because I'm a devotee of the Morrigan, and when I'm ignoring my dreams, it's like I'm literally ignoring what I'm devoted to and what my magic comes from. So like I'm ignoring my own power, but I'm also ignoring my subconscious, like from just a mind and emotions perspective. Like I'm just ignoring my feelings and the stuff that's deep down in my brain that I don't want to think about. And that may not be true for everybody. people have very different relationships to dreams, and that's cool. But for me, that is definitely true. So I thought I would just show you guys a tarot reading that I made that was, devoted to this idea of coming up for air, but also getting back in touch with my magic, particularly my dreams, just getting in touch with the stuff I've been pushing down, the things I've been too overwhelmed to think about or talk about. So yeah, without further ado, flip this camera. So, what we're seeing here is a nice new rug that I got. Ooh, so soft. And B, my tarot reading. So, let me walk you guys through this. So, there's, as you can see, there's cards from a couple different decks here. This top deck right here is the Believe in Your Own Magic Oracle deck by Amanda Lovelace. It's based on poetry by, artwork by Janaina Metalrow and poetry by Amanda Lovelace. So I really like that Oracle deck. As you can see, it has really fun pictures. I recently learned about the term soft femme, and it seems like a term that's like perfect for this. So yeah, there's sort of fun, very feminine and sort of like, I don't know, really artsy and colorful artwork. And there's always like a little word and then a sort of mantra. Like, so this one is spaceship, don't be afraid to sing. And then here I have cards from a deck called Voices of the Dark Mothers. It comes in this nice little package here with a booklet and this little zhuzhy little package. So yeah, Voices of the Dark Mothers is an amazing deck, and it's all about, like, there's a dark mother listed on every one. So it's usually a goddess, or some feminine figure who's thought of roughly in some terms as dark. So this one is Freya, and the tagline here is ecstasy. And then I have the Ostara deck. That's the ones that these other ones are from. And the Ostara deck is made by 4 different creators. I've talked about the Ostara deck before. It's one of my favorites, and I love to use it when I'm in times of transition, because to me that's partly what Ostara is about anyway. So just to talk a little bit more about what I got out of this, I'll probably show you the cards more as we go along. But first I'm gonna say what they actually were and what the spread was, and then I'll talk more about it. Okay, and I made up this spread because, again, I was basically drawing on the feelings of coming up for air and the idea of just trying to really remember my dreams. So the first position here is a message from the past, and the card I got for that is the 7 of Wands. And it's a bit of a glare on it, so sorry about that. I'm trying to get that off. You can see that she's climbed up way to the top, and it seems as though she's climbed above other people. There's other people down here with their houses. So it's this real sort of little boxes type feeling, if you know that song. The idea of there being, little boxes on the hillside, that everybody has these little boxes, and she's climbed up to the top. So she sort of thinks she's won somehow. So anyway, the message from the past is the 7 of Wands. Message from the present was the 8 of Wands. And in this deck, I love the 8 of Wands. It's this eagle, rushing, this real feeling of power and majesty. But also, perhaps there's a caution there as well. And we'll get more into that. So message for the future.
is the devil. And when I created these positions, I didn't want it to be something, as sort of formulaic as like past, present, future. These are the things that happened. But this is the message from the past, the message for the present on how to be present, and the message from the future, like from my future self. And then here, so I love the devil. Before I move on, I just love the devil in this. He's got these little people trapped in these little lanterns. He's pretty intense. And then for the next card, I got the Five of Cups, which is, usually not a great card. So not gonna lie, when I got that, I felt a little anxiety, but also I think for me at this time, it's more about acknowledging what I'm feeling than, some sort of terrible revelation of something bad that's going to happen, as it often is in tarot. Or it often is an indication to think about your feelings. It's not often, something really terrible that's going to happen to you. So for this position, it was what I don't know yet. So I wanted to know, what is the thing that I'm not paying attention to that I should be paying attention to, or what is the thing that I'm going to find out soon in the future, and that I should just find out now. And then the final position of the Ostara cards is what I've lost sight of. And for me, that was the Knight of Cups. I love the Knight of Cups in this. A lot of the characters are sort of androgynous in this deck, and I really like that. It's nice that they're so inclusive, and I think it helps people relate to them, no matter what position you're coming from gender-wise. So yeah, the Knight of Cups, and I just really relate to the Knight of Cups in general, so it's powerful for me to get that card, because I'm a very Cups related person. I'm a Pisces, I'm a water sign, and I definitely am on a journey with my emotions, which is what I think of that card as meaning. And then finally, I asked for 2 special messages. I asked for this to be a message from my joy or from my emotions. So something that would give me joy, and something to light my way along this. And I got Don't Be Afraid to Sing, which for me is a really important message, and I'll talk more about it. And then the final message that I asked for was from the Dark Mothers, and I asked for it to be a message from my dreams. And it was Freya and ecstasy, which is also a really powerful message for me. I've never drawn Freya before. I really know very little about Freya, and that's part of the reason I felt like it was so powerful. Also, just the concept of ecstasy being my number one message, or my final message, is very powerful for me, I think. So now I'm going to flip the camera back around and talk to you a little bit more about this.
So I just want to spend a little time reflecting on the messages that I got from these cards. So yeah, for the Seven of Wands, again, this is the girl who sort of climbed to the top, and this is the message from my cast. I thought of this as meaning, a caution, to not treat things as a competition. There's no prize for, dying with the most toys. If you're, taxing yourself a lot and being hard on yourself, then that is not how you're going to win. And so I took this as a message that I need to be more kind to myself. I've been very hard on myself lately with starting a new job, and that's what I attributed this to. Is that I actually have gone through these things in the past, and I know better than that. I know much, much better than that. I've gone through a lot of therapy. I know not to be that hard on myself, and that it does no good. And in fact, it does harm to me and people around me. So, and I'm not as good at my job actually, or at being a person when I'm so hard on myself. And I would say it's probably a message for everyone. But yeah, that's what I got out of that. And the Eight of Wands, the message for how to be present. So for the Eight of Wands, I just thought of that as a real recommendation to actually be present, to not, go heedlessly from one thing to the next, but to really root down and just experience the moment as it is, rather than rushing. And I like the way that the way that these little bands of light kind of intersect his eye, because it gives me this feeling of a present moment, of a moment in flight. And I think often the Eight of Wands is seen as like a caution, like don't be like this, don't go too fast through everything. But this card actually just makes me see the other side of that, which is instead of doing that, do this, be present. Have that moment where you just look around you and you're completely present. You smell everything and feel everything and see what there is to be seen. And I think part of the reason I've had trouble with this lately is because I've been struggling a lot with chronic illness stuff. It's very hard to be present when you're having a lot of pain. Or sometimes you feel way too present. And so what it is that you're trying to numb yourself out a little bit. And that makes, all the sense in the world to anyone, to anyone else who does that. Like, I see you. But yeah, I'm having to tell myself to try not to do that, or to try to be present with, whatever pain I'm going through, whatever difficulty, as hard as that can be. And also to give myself permission to, again, not work all the time. Like, if I'm writing my lullaby from the bathroom, maybe I just need to take a 10-minute break, and see if, like, things can get better before I start working again, So being present is important. Message from the future is the devil. I took that as, again, I sort of know better. I've done better in the past, and the devil is sort of coming to me from the future, being kind of like the ghost of Christmas future. This is what you could have if you don't watch out. And I think, again, sorry about that glare there. I think the point is, this sort of, the devil's this image of capture and being sort of held in place and bound by things that the habits and patterns that you have been in the past. And again, it resonates a lot with what I've been saying so far, because I did have sort of bad patterns in the past of working way too hard, not listening to my body, all those kinds of things. And I think, again, I'm going to want to steer clear of that in the future. So, 5 of Cups. Again, it's kind of a biggie. But yeah, I think for me it just meant to really just be present with feelings of pain and feelings of sadness and overwhelm, and the things that I'm feeling are not to be ignored. I think that's the point. It's easy to see quote-unquote scary cards or bad cards or whatever. Again, that's quote-unquote because they're not bad or scary. They have messages for us that we need. Again, like when you see that, you can just freak out a little bit, but I think that's exactly what the card is telling you not to do. It's telling me, and whoever draws it, it's telling you to be present with your pain and your sadness. And again, that's been very hard for me lately, because I've had some very powerful emotions that I'm not really used to having. I'm just kind of an optimistic person. I'm kind of a bopping along kind of person. That's not to say that I don't ever have tough feelings, but sometimes when I do, they kind of blindside me. And because I'm not used to dealing with them on an everyday basis, I think that's part of why this is happening. But I also think I have a lot of, I don't know if I want to say trauma, but issues with having had really dark feelings in the past and dark thoughts. And because of my OCD particularly, which you guys on this channel know about. So I think that's also some baggage that I have to work through, is thinking about how to be present with my thoughts without, without being scared of them, because that's a lifelong part of my journey, is just how to be present with yourself and not be freaked out by yourself, not be too much for yourself. And then Knight of Cups. Again, I think of this as being on a journey of emotions, being on an emotional journey, and being on a journey with how to ride emotions, which is, again, what I'm doing here. That's like everything I'm doing at this time. And spaceship. So I'm moving on to the messages, because these are the parts I want to talk a little bit more about. So I thought about these as being messages from my grandmothers, in addition to, message from my joy and message from my dreams. And I equate message from my joy with my paternal grandmother, and message from the dark mother, or from my dreams, with my maternal grandmother. And anyone who knew the two of those women would know which one was which. Because one was love and light, and one was just like Baba Yaga. I loved them both dearly, and they both had so much to teach me, but they were such different women that it is comical. Spaceship, don't be afraid to sing. That was very powerful for me, because I have been really on a journey with music my whole life. I love music. I was a singer growing up. Some of my first memories are of singing in church. Growing up, I sang in talent shows. I sang, and I wanted to do that professionally for a long time. Didn't end up doing that. But yeah, it's always been a part of my life. And music has always been very inspiring to me, very motivating, and sometimes the thing that makes me feel not alone. And particularly lately, I've been listening to Brandi Carlile on repeat all the time. I'll listen to one album and then I'll repeat it until I just can't listen to it anymore, and then I'll change to another one and do the same thing with that one. I love I love everything about her. I loved her even when I was younger, when I was in high school, and I didn't know she was queer, and I didn't know I was queer. But then when recently I found out that I was queer, and I found out that about her, I felt very seen. I started going back and listening to all her music, and I just felt so seen by all of it. And I don't know. I guess this "Don't Be Afraid to Sing," it just spoke to me in that way. It's don't be afraid to show who you are, embrace yourself, and just embrace the things that physically make you feel good, like dancing, singing, walking. Because there's been a lot of really dark emotions, and you've got to get all that out somehow. There's got to be some kind of catharsis, and for me, I think right now that's singing and physical stuff, and also embracing my physicality. I'm really getting into bi style, so I have just been really wanting to be visible as a bisexual person, particularly married to a man. I've been just craving that visibility, so I did my hair purple and blue and pink, so there's a little bit of blue and pink in the background here. And I got these little earrings, which are from an Etsy shop that I love, called Lilliput Little Things, and I will put them in the notes. But they're little bi flags on hearts, if you can't see them. And I've been wearing my purple lip gloss, which is Wet n Wild. I like them because they're cruelty free. And then I got a bunch of tops, a bunch of plaid tops from plaid button-down shirts from Goodwill, and I'm really excited about those because I think I've been kind of learning more about my gender presentation and stuff, and trying to figure out how I feel best, and I think plaid is a part of that. And then finally, Freya, Ecstasy. That's a message from the Dark Mother. This one surprised me because, again, it's not necessarily the thing you expect to hear from your Baba Yaga grandmother, that you should, be ecstatic and just jump up and down and have fun. But I think maybe there's a dark side to that is hard for people to accept. It's why people don't always just automatically do that, because there's like a dark side to letting yourself go that much. I think that when I read about this card, what I got out of it was that ecstasy is really abandon and letting yourself go, letting yourself be, crass or too much, too loud, too silly, too too whatever, just too much. And that's something I have a very hard time with. I have a very hard time letting myself do that. I think it's related to a fear of vulnerability, probably. And I think I probably need to work on it. And so if my mom has anything to do with it, I guess I will. So that's all for now, folks. I just wanted to come on and give you this reading that I sort of got yesterday that I did for myself. And I also wanted to say that, I am still trying to make a side biz as a reader. So if anybody liked this reading, and if you would like to do a reading with me, you can book one on my website, not my academic website, but my tarot website, which is Elissa Reads Cards, and I will put it on the show notes. But anyway, you can also tell me in the comments. I would love to hear if there's other tarot videos that you'd like me to do, because I want to do a lot more of these. If you want to hear more readings for myself that I did for myself, if you want to hear readings for astrological events or for something like that, just tell me what you guys are interested in, and I would be happy to get to making some of those. Or if you want more information about tarot or about how I read tarot or my tarot journey, I'd be interested in talking more about that too. Basically just want to share everything about tarot that I can with you guys. So, all right. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see everybody again soon. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to your comments. Bye.